And for a late IHP show number 2, let us talk about, so 1, spirituality and twin flame and or flames and relationships and trauma. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just humored to see so many YouTubers not be aware of attachment and the fact that you can work to get out of the attachment category and pattern. And so women and men and theys, you know, the ones who are stuck on stereotypes. And that's because I get it. Again, my friends, they say, you don't know suffering because you've explained it. My smart friends. I say, you know what, you're right. But I can share, since everybody accuses those of us who smile of being pretend smilers and depressed inside. And I don't share that with my smart friends because I don't have to. They just make it a point to make me aware you don't know what suffering means. And I say fair and square, but people don't know what happiness means either. And so I think it's about time that some of us get to share how some of us are happy because we, you know, get lucky, as others will want to point out. Sure, yep, I got lucky. I will say, yes, I did, because I don't have the trauma charges of my child leading me. And that's also because I don't have child developmental trauma. So I'm being very serious, and I don't demonize or romanticize any of it, by the way. In fact, I'm not very fond of the lack of educated human beings who have a buttload of certificates and they tell you how to get underneath the skin of a narcissist, or they basically demonize and make a poor human being to be evil. You know, so again, any stereotype, you send it my way, I'm thinking, wow, you're a teenager and you're using this thing called generalized thinking and you don't even know about it, and it not having people, when they do look at people who can get beyond PTSD and those who don't, one of the things they notice is that people who have this generalized thinking, they don't, because something happened to them yesterday and they now say, oh, it's always going to happen. And what I've noticed is there's a bunch of people on YouTube leading their channels with all of it. So there's a lot of Pinocchios with wooden bodies. So it's time, finally, we have some actual Pinocchios who became flesh. So that means that they're integrated. That's all. You know, so everybody's going to tune in to, you know, the ding, 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 the bell that accompanies their vibe. And I'm being redirected. So let's talk about twin flames, shall we? Yes, the saga that they created out of it. I was humored, and at the same time, I also knew why it became a saga and why it became popular. No, not because of it having to become a popularity contest. No, just teenagers love to, even though they're not all teenagers. I use that word for anybody who doesn't emotionally grow up. In fact, there's some teenagers that are emotionally grown up more than there are grown-ups. They know how to do emotions because they're learning it from the smart people that talk to them about attachment trauma. But see, this is the part. They needed time to collect the data. So about 1970s is when they began to collect the data. Until then, they were saying you could hit a kid, or no, as long as you didn't hit a kid with a frying pan, everything was okay. I remember watching one of the first documentaries about what happened to a baby who was ignored by drug addict parents, and that this baby who was sitting on the floor, I'll never forget the image, that they would not be able to have this empathy. And I also learned from this same documentary that we could learn a new habit simply by choosing to replace whatever habit we had. And that's how I learned to start working on my tone. Because see, I got lucky with a family that lets me just do my mother. And my twin, yes, my twin got to put up with me. I got to put up with her, but I'm the bossy one of the two. You should ask any person who knows me. I'm definitely like the Energizer battery. That's why I'm humored, to say the least, when I see any of the gender stereotypes at this point, because even in my sociology class, we learned about how there were two groups of sociologists. The ones who said, if we keep on doing it this way, we're not going to move beyond the problem we have right now. And then, you know, it's 2024. I was in college. What year was it? Long time ago. I'm getting old. 2004. Yes, I am getting old, aren't I? Well, 44. So it's a good age. It's a good year. And I knew that I would be able to voice a lot of things. I just didn't realize how awesome it would be. And so here's where, with twin flame and flames, you know that they're giving you a gift. You can't know all the gifts. This is what a divine feminine has, no questions. In fact, here's where it's not about genders. Although a good portion of divine feminines you'll find in the mystic community that they're going to say they're women, it's not true. Also, when this rabbi was talking about how the feminine energy or the feminine has a hard time letting go of a masculine, no, we don't. That's why, see, a masculine won't disrupt my peace. They will get in my way. It's two different things. I'm on a high. You don't know what you want to do. You're flag in the air. What are you doing? Oh, I'll spend time with you. I'll have fun. Then I'll be able to figure out sooner or later, if you don't text me that you don't want to have anything to do with me, it's okay. I won't be discarded. I'll be humored, to say the least, because that's what happens when you're an empowered woman, man or they. You're like, wow, there's another person who needs a good therapist, or anyways, they need to figure out what they want in life. I mean, hey, emotions, it's all over the place. You're breathing. And then, you know, you see them doing yoga or thinking that yoga brings demons out of you, and you wonder, wow, how old are they? Again, I am educated. Is that it? Because I have people who are just as educated and smart, and they don't have a master's degree. And then they're the ones who I met in college who did have bachelor's and master's degree. Well, we won't talk about inner and outer well-being, because, see, that's where it doesn't matter what school you go to. If you don't care about your inner and outer well-being, you ain't doing anything. And outer means that you want to grow a human herd. Yeah, so this is the part of where I see a lot of also journey on YouTube. But then again, I also was informed by Sadhguru, and he's a guru, so I trust his word. He's always on point with a lot of things. Now, he is missing the psych education. That part, I have to say Sadhguru, but then again, you're a guru, so you're meant to do what you're doing. And so when he talks about Akashic intelligence, the way he tells you to get into relationship with it is in a way of spirituality soul age group. I forgot to mention I'm in the enlightenment soul age group. It's fun. It's not boring. When you see a flat line, they don't even know what they're talking about yet, because they're just doing left. And their right is nowhere to be found with their 0-1-year-old. Here's a 0-1-year-old with a 3-year-old with a 16-year-old, but it's a grown woman who's actually leading the way. And this is what you can get if you do want one-to-one mentorship and you want to be yourself, the authentic self. No trauma charges, nothing lingering. That means you are completely kind and loving. Now, we do know about what's going on in the world. Don't worry. We know how to be safe haven, secure bases, and we're successful entrepreneurs. So we think of solutions and not problems, and we don't get into despair, because that's the whole point of what you can do with your emotions and thoughts when they're yours. Okay, so when your brain and your mind and your body is yours, so this is your heart. So nobody can disrupt your peace. In fact, this is the part about twin flames. They don't disrupt anything. In fact, they give you the most mwah. You can better bet that any time I met one twin flame, two twin flames, by the second I was like, okay, I already had the first, so I already know what I'm doing here, which was mastering my emotional body. In fact, I thank them. They are the most amazing of people ever. And eventually I knew what was happening, like with the third as well. The third took me a little bit by surprise. Then I got soulmates. Those took me even more by surprise. So all of my relationships, I just knew one thing, because, you know, here's what happens when you get discarded. A woman who's empowered, my teenage boyfriend, I was going to marry him. And he still thinks, I do think he might think that he's traumatized me, like a lot of other people. You're traumatized because you're solo polyamory. I explained to them, I got a good friend of mine. I'm like, look, I love more people. Don't you understand? His heart's not closed. I'm actually having more fun. And no, it's not about fucking. It's about loving. And he's like, can't love more than one person. There's your 0-1-year-old. I was like, so fuck yes, love no? Is that what you're saying to me? Yes. And he's just looking at me, and I'm like, you do realize what you're doing, right? I thought you wanted to disseminate everywhere, and loving, though, is not going to be okay? That's your 0-1-year-old. Secure attachment is what it's called, and I'm not going to be your secure attachment figure like that. I'm going to be something different. It's called you have healthy self-worth, I have healthy self-worth, and we both fly. And as independent lovers, we have fun because we don't need to do this thing of the string. I don't need to keep a man or a woman or they. It's just I'm not afraid of losing you. I can't. You physically can't be lost. You don't fit in a pocket. Although I have a friend of mine who teases about me being pocket-sized because that's how small I am. He's really awesome. So when you meet twin flame or flames and your enlightenment soul age group, yeah, this is what happens. You already know it's going to be a fucking hell of a ride. I know it. You know you will figure it out at some point. This is where every step of the way, and then your soulmates, they surprise you. Twin flames surprise you too in a very different way. So our relationships, they support us all to heal trauma when you choose love. And that means that you're a functional adult. It means you know how to talk to each other in the face, not lie. You don't do Cusco. We are all pachas here. come on over if you want to be in 5D relationships and being yourself the grown-up way and having fun and, you know, emotions, thoughts. It's really nice as you expand consciousness infinitely and beyond. Tune in.